Okay, in this lesson I'm going to show you guys how to consolidate your footage in Adobe Premiere Pro and export it to share on YouTube. So when you first start up Premiere, you're going to get a screen like this, and I just want you to say New Project. And then this is where it starts to get a little bit intimidating. There's a lot of options here, but just kind of follow along with what I'm doing and you should be fine. This is the CS5 version of Adobe Premiere Pro, but there's just some slight visual modifications between this and CS6, so you shouldn't have much of an issue finding your way around. So the other thing I wanted to point out is that show you kind of how I have things set up. I have a folder that I just have called Week 3, and in this folder I have kind of just made a nice, just organized a little bit, one with some of the video that I'm using and one with some of the images that I'm using, and I'm just going to save my project file in here. Premiere works like a lot of software where it doesn't actually keep the files inside the project file like it does in like Photoshop per se. So if you copy and paste an image in Photoshop, you never have to worry about it. But Premiere just kind of acts as kind of a blueprint, and then you actually have to render it out kind of like you would in a 3D program. So that being said, go back to Premiere, and I'm just going to, you have to choose a location, so I'm just going to choose that folder, so it's going to automatically save all the data I need in there. So I just need to find where I put it. And there it is, so I'm just going to hit OK. I'm just going to title it Wedding, and hit OK. And it's going to take its time. Alright, so now we go through the sequence, the sequence presets, which are just basically the properties of the movie we're creating. For this class, I would like you guys working in at least 720p, which if you go under HDTV, 720p 30. If you would get up to like full HD, I think these file sizes are going to get a bit out of hand. For a 3-minute project, it should be fine, but we're going to actually shrink it down if we need to. But I want your project settings to be at 720p. So this also means that you need to be filming in 720p at least. So keep that in mind when you're adjusting your digital cameras or camcorders, that you're at least recording in 720p. So select that, and you can just hit OK. Alright, so this is the basic layout of Premiere. We're not going to get too far into it because for this, part of this assignment is just to kind of get your footage on there and rendered out so we can share it on YouTube. So here's your project window, which is kind of acts as your library. So to get stuff in there, you just go to File, Import, and then you see it's got, since I already said this is my project file, it points me right to it. So I'm just going to grab my images, click Open, and then I'm going to, I can also right click, go Import, and then let's go back to my video. This is just some generic wedding footage I scraped up. And you can also organize it, which it helps to do, especially if you're going to be using a large number of files. So I'm just going to keep that in there. So, I mean, for now, we're not really doing a lot of editing. We're just kind of sharing footage. So if you just drag it down here to the timeline, and you can use this to kind of zoom in and zoom out. These are the files. The green right here, as you see, is video, because you see when I move that, there's an audio track that appears as well. This is just an image. Obviously there's no audio track associated with that. Now the one thing I want you guys to notice is that, see, this video footage is in 420, it's 420p. So it doesn't fill the entire workspace. Now I could stretch it, but we know that's a big no-no because that's going to make the image quality much worse. So if you import your footage and it looks like this, that means you need to reshoot in a larger size. The image, however, is a nice big size, and I can shrink that as I see fit. But again, make sure that you're shooting at the right resolution. But for the sake of this demonstration, I'm just going to kind of keep going. You will also notice that as you are adding stuff onto the timeline, that this little bar gets longer and longer, and that's kind of your work area. So right now it's just taking all the video footage I have and kind of stringing it together. Oops, I took the same one twice. Get rid of that. I'm just going to put a few things here. Let's take OK. And then it'll snap to the end of the footage if you just kind of drag that end piece along. Okay, so then once you have your video footage where you need it, you go to File, Export, Media, or Control M, or Command M, if you're using a Mac. And then from here, from Format, I want you to pick H.264 is the format I want you to pick. And then from there, you can actually pick either YouTube Standard Def, YouTube Widescreen HD, or YouTube Widescreen SD. I'm fine at this point with you guys using either YouTube SD or YouTube Widescreen SD, which is just standard definition. It's going to be a smaller file size and easier to manage, and right now, since we're just kind of sharing footage and whatnot, I'm fine with that. You can obviously change the name and where you're going to save it. I'm going to save it. What I like to do is just make another folder here, and I just call it renders, or let's call it output. So if I ever want to go back and look at something I rendered or exported before, I can do that. So I'm just going to do it with today's date, just in case I do more than one today, and just hit save. And then, I mean, if you know a little bit more about video, you can kind of, keep that at 30. You can tweak these. If you don't know a lot about video, I would just leave those alone. And then you can just click export. Just to save yourself a headache, I would just kind of keep the preset at what I showed you at, so it's exporting specifically for YouTube. And then once you're done, that video will pop up, and then it will be ready to export to YouTube.